Move over battle royales. Extraction shooters are soaking up the spotlight. Loved for its challenging, unforgiving nature, the genre has had a slow and steady rise in popularity. And with some high-quality games added to the pool in recent years, it's the perfect time to deliberate which extraction shooters deserve a spot in the top 10. If you haven't experienced the roller coaster ride that is the extraction shooter, the main premise is simple. In most cases, players enter a map and must explore and scavenge for materials that can be used to craft, buy, or upgrade gear, while fending off AI enemies or other players. As you acquire more powerful weaponry and tactical equipment, you'll be able to bring in these items into future matches to give you a better chance at surviving. But if you die, it's all gone. This high-risk, high-reward gameplay has cemented a dedicated fan base of thrill seekers who like to get the blood pumping and don't mind suffering crushing defeats that leave them with an empty inventory. After a decade's worth of extractions, it's safe to say my total loot value is astronomical by now. And it's been a delight to see how far the genre has come as a whole. So without further delay, here are the 10 best extraction shooters ranked.
Taking place in post-war Norway, Vigor has a progression system that I really enjoy, but unfortunately the game has struggled with cheaters, which has in turn affected its player count. However, I believe there's still a lot of hope for Vigor, and I had a thoroughly enjoyable experience with the game. If we take cheaters out of the equation, the PvP combat is exhilarating and promotes the use of stealthy tactics, which, when performed correctly, will help secure essential resources for fixing up your homestead. The homestead building in Vigor is where the game really started to shine for me, and it's a feature that I wish more extraction shooters would adopt. In Vigor, you have your own plot you can walk around on with a shelter you can fix up using the resources you've extracted, collect passive resources, or use your own private shooting range. For solid extraction shooter fundamentals and a thoroughly enjoyable progression system, Vigor takes the 10th spot. Dystopian worlds are probably the most common setting when it comes to extraction shooters, but each game has their own unique way of making us feel like we're scavenging for life-saving supplies. The Forever Winter's take on a dystopian future Earth is extremely atmospheric, twisted, and terrifying. After being ravaged by years of nuclear war, what's left of Earth is being fought over by factions using giant war machines. And Fundog Studios really makes this world look beautiful and creepy. It's visually captivating. One of the many great qualities about the Forever Winter is that you can choose between 6 different character classes, each with their own skill trees and weapon proficiencies, which is an RPG element that I think brings a lot of depth to the game. If you want even more fantasy in your extraction shooter experience, Witchfire is an interesting hybrid that's bound to impress you. This is a single-player RPG shooter, but don't be mistaken, the gameplay loop is extraction shooter all the way. Witchfire is inspired by the real-world witch hunts that took place starting in the 15th century, and it was this concept that initially hooked me into giving it a try, and I wasn't disappointed. As the Witch of the Black Sea raises armies, you will take the role of a witch hunter to cleanse the world of evil. Witchfire has some very satisfying guns, a deep arsenal to choose from, and lots of upgrades to make, as well as spells and passive buffs to apply, giving you a lot of playstyle customization options as you progress through the game. Zero Sievert is a single-player, top-down extraction shooter with a ton of replayability. The procedurally generated wastelands set in Eastern Europe are full of bandits, mutated wildlife, and ghouls that will force you to proceed with caution or suffer the consequences. This one is another big win from the world of indie games, and I think Kaboo Studio did an outstanding job, especially with how deep the crafting, gunsmithing, and base building systems are. This makes finding valuable and rare items on your runs extremely exciting, as you'll have a lot of different uses for what you find. As a gamer that grew up in the 90s, modern games with old school art always tend to catch my attention, and
Zero Sievert isn't just visually pleasing for retro buffs like me, it's surprisingly deep, and every run is wildly different.
It's safe to say that Escape from Tarkov is the OG of extraction shooters, the one who paved the way for all the games on this list, especially Escape from Duckov for obvious reasons. If a lighthearted, more casual spin on the genre is something you're after, Duckov will do you no wrong. Once you choose the duck you wish to play, there's a solid amount of duck development options, including skill and physical enhancements, as well as totems you can equip to buff your stats. The combat isn't super challenging, but it's still really fun and satisfying in many ways. And it will undoubtedly bring some joy into the lives of hardened extraction shooter veterans and gamers who are new to the genre alike.
Delta Force is an exciting new extraction shooter that shows a lot of promise, but has suffered from cheaters and performance issues, which is what holds it back from ranking higher. Released in 2024, Delta Force is free to play and is available on PC, consoles, and mobile, which is a pretty impressive feat and a big reason why I think it deserves some spotlight. The Operations mode allows you to get the full extraction shooter experience as you deploy into enemy territory, find valuable items, and clash with other players. You'll be able to customize your playstyle by choosing different operators that have their own traits, gadgets, and tactical gear, and the guns feel great to use. While there are still technical issues to be fixed, when it comes to gameplay, Delta Force has a lot to offer if you're looking for a free extraction shooter available on any platform.
What would the extraction shooter genre be without Escape from Tarkov? It's been a decade since Tarkov first hit the scene, 10 long years of heart-stopping encounters and grueling gameplay that many of the games on this list draw inspiration from in one way or another. It feels like putting Tarkov any lower on this list would be injustice because of its impact on the industry, and with its full release just around the corner, scheduled for November 15th at the time of writing, I'm excited to see how things will play out in the next year or two. If you're up for the raw and uncut extraction shooter experience, Escape from Tarkov is where it all began, and I think with a bit more balance and quality of life improvements, this old dog might actually be able to learn some new tricks.
Any horror fans in the house? Hunt Showdown 1896 has an incredible Western horror vibe and a unique and satisfying progression system that never seems to get old. It's the grotesque and terrifying enemy variety that really makes Hunt stand out from the crowd for me. But the fulfilling, long-term replayability of the game is why I feel it deserves a spot in the top 3. Not only can you switch between different hunters, level them up, and edit your loadouts, you'll have to collect trades that allow you to experiment with different playstyles. When it comes to extraction shooter progression systems, this is one of the best in the genre. It's an immersive fantasy experience that's completely enthralling and definitely worth picking up. Aesthetically, I love this game, and if you're a fan of zombies, ghosts, ghouls, and gore, you'll love it too. The Bounty Hunt mode is a must-play extraction experience.
Arena Breakout Infinite is a well-rounded, fast-paced, easily accessible extraction shooter that's a ton of fun to play, and has quickly become one of the most popular games in the genre. This is a game you can jump right into and immediately feel like you can compete. You don't have to grind for a week to get a semi-decent kit. Even though it's accessible, there are a lot of levels to the PvP and an extremely high skill cap. Deep gunsmithing and loadout customization options allow extraction shooter veterans the ability to stack their kits with a frightening amount of tactical items and top-of-the-line bullets, resulting in complex, long-lasting gun battles. If you enjoy the more realistic shooters where you're not absorbing a full clip of ammunition and still somehow sprinting away, Arena Breakout Infinite is a great choice. It's an adrenaline-pumping experience that forces you to lock in.
Embark's new extraction shooter is one of the hottest games on the market right now, as over 400,000 concurrent players battle it out against the swarms of hostile drones and giant mechanized threats that dominate the surface of future Earth.
It's only been a couple of weeks since its launched, but I've played ARC Raiders for a considerable number of hours already, and it's been one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. The AI in ARC Raiders won't be what you're used to. You have to be extremely careful about how you move. If you make noise, the drones will come after you, just as you might expect to see when imagining a hostile robot apocalypse. Stealthy tactics are an absolute necessity, and the map designs and weather conditions leave you fully immersed in the moment. There's a huge community of friendly raiders that prioritize completing quests and working together to take down the largest, most formidable arcs, and I think this is a huge moment for extraction shooters that will open the door for more creative twists on the genre, and more co-op PvE gameplay. ARC Raiders is an incredible multiplayer experience that will literally have you jumping out of your seat. Not only does it secure the #1 spot on this list as the best extraction shooter, it's a serious contender for Game of the Year.